Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, Jay Fallon. I want to talk about the story comes out from the United States. We'll get straight into it. I've got to tell you, I'm not really sure where I stand with this. Read the story and then I'll go through my thoughts. Headline says detective says Melissa Perez was not close to officers when they fired at her. Okay, this is the lead detective here, I believe, if you're watching this on video. The lead detective who signed the arrest warrants for 3 former San Antonio police on trial for the death of Melissa Perez said he didn't believe Perez was that close to police when she charged at them with a hammer. At the first murder trial for an on-duty officer for SAPD, defense attorneys have argued that then officer Eliezer Alejandro, then Sergeant Alfred Flores, and then Officer Nathaniel Villalobos opened fire on the 46-year-old mother of 4 at her home. Remember that. In the early hours of June 23, 2023, because they feared for their lives. Alejandro and Flores, whose bullets hit Perez, are charged with murder. Villalobos, who missed, crikey, is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. SAPD says Perez was inside her apartment with a closed glass door separating her from police outside when she charged at them with the hammer. Jurors heard testimony from Detective Ronaldo Soto on Tuesday, the 12th day of the trial. He said he was the detective who filed the arrest warrants for Alejandro Flores and Villalobos 16 hours after they fired their duty weapons at Perez at her southwest side apartment. Soto testified that before the gunfire, Perez, who had schizophrenia, threw a candle at a police officer as he stood outside her patio. He and others were trying to persuade her to come out of her apartment after locking herself inside. Prior to that, Perez had cut the wires to the complex's fire alarm system. She claimed she was being spied on by the FBI. Soto, who had been with the department for 21 years, said he believed many of the officers at the scene were acting in accordance with their training. This is the problem. Part of the problem. This is just a part of your training. Weapon, possible that they could kill you with their weapon, gun, shoot. So I believed it was in accordance with their training. But the body camera footage from officers showed that Perez was not within arm's reach of police when she was shot, he said. From the perspective of where Perez was at in the house, I am viewing her as not being a threat. Of course, not within arm's reach. I mean, you don't want someone to be within arm's reach before you finally pull your weapon. You know, it's getting a little hairy when you're getting a hammer to the head. Defense attorney Jason Goss asked why other officers at the scene who raised their firearms at Perez weren't also charged for pointing the weapons at Perez for believing she was a threat. So in your opinion, you walked a warrant for murder for these guys because all those officers were wrong in what they were perceiving, and you were right because you saw the body cam, Goss said. I based it on the body cam because that's all I had. I read the statements too, but I went on what I could see, Soto said. Soto agreed that the 3 officers would not have known Perez was experiencing a mental health crisis because they were not made aware by the first responding officer. Well, then that, okay, is a major fail on the first responding officer for not passing on this vital information. Judge Ron Rangel barred both the state and defense from asking witnesses about the use of warrants, blah, blah. None of that's really important. Perez had also admitted to cutting the wires to the fire alarm system and had assaulted an officer with the candle. Also, there was an older, bedridden man whom Perez was offering a place to stay, and defense attorneys said he could have been in danger. So they've got an older man who's staying bedridden, staying in the apartment with Perez. So they're saying, hey, this chap could have been in danger. Part of the reason why we're there. At one point during Soto's testimony, he said it was clear Perez was never going to let go of that hammer, which elicited a laugh from the officer's defense team. I didn't know this was funny. He said that hammer is all she has to protect her home, Soto said. She never once showed that she was going to throw that hammer at anyone. Okay, let's get into a few things here. I was thinking about what I would have done in this scenario. Now, someone's coming at me with a hammer, and well, it sounds like they've got a glass door in between them, but even they're coming at you with a hammer. Let's say they haven't got a glass door and they're a couple of meters away. If I was by myself when I was a police officer, if I was by myself, I probably would have drawn my police Glock, my weapon. Okay, because you're by yourself. Now, in Queensland Police, you're really by yourself. Where I was working, you'd work by yourself sometimes on the weekend, like especially on a Sunday during day during the daytime, you would work by yourself. So if I was in that scenario, someone came out with a hammer by myself, I probably would have, you know, pulled my Glock, my service weapon, by myself. Now, most scenarios, you're with someone else, at least one other person. They've obviously got, well, there's a minimum of three, but there's actually quite a few officers by the sounds of it because there's three that have been charged. Now, if I was in a scenario where there was two of us, someone's coming at me and I had enough time to react, I think I personally would have made that decision. I'll go for my taser. My taser, okay? But also seeing what the other officer has done because I still think one of you needs to go for your Glock. Okay, this is just personally. I would have gone for my taser. Now I'm not saying that that's definitely the right thing to do because your life still is in danger. But depending on the size of the woman, and if I thought I could overpower her and this kind of thing, I still think I would have gone. If there was two of us, I would have gone for my taser as a second. Now in this scenario, when there's more than two officers, at least as a minimum, there's three. It sounds like there's probably four or five. I would have gone for my pepper spray, for my capsicum spray, sprayed her in the face because you get quite a good distance with cap spray, even better than the taser. So I would have gone. This is what I would have done. I think I'm not trying to throw these fellas under the bus, okay? Because you know, as it goes, as he said, as this Soto said, it looks like they're going by their training. Their training. This is the scary thing. If I was in a scenario when I have quite a few officers with me and it's a female with a hammer, not a male, that would have made things different, but a female with a hammer coming at me, I more than likely, and there's a couple of officers, I would have gone for the cap spray or a baton. My baton, you flick it out, it extends, crack her across the. Sorry, she would have ended up with a broken jaw if that was me, more than likely. But I would have gone for the cap spray or the baton. I had great success from a distance with the cap spray because you can get quite a bit back and spray it out. It goes quite a few meters. Hit them, you aim it, hit them in the eye. Everyone gets a bit of a startle, and then they're like, I've seen big guys. They'll get a startle. They're like, whatever, and then they're like, realize, wait up, this is like stinging the crap out of my eyes, and then they'll stop. I would have done that only because there was several other people with me. Okay, and I'm not just standing there by myself. The issue here, for one, it seems hard how they can really. This Soto's trying to. He's judging everything off of the body worn camera. The bigger issue that I see here is for one the training. This is the way you're trained. That you perceive a threat and it's easy to justify because you've got something. It's not like you need people who can work well under pressure, who can handle stress and go through different scenarios and work out, okay, these are all my options. I have my little tool belt on, my little belt, accoutrement belt on. These are all the options, and you need to be able to run through everything really quickly. Bang, bang, bang. This is what I need to do. This is the possible outcome. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, you need to be able to run through those like in a split second, make some kind of decision. Okay, and this is the issue that they had. But the problem is, you've also got to take into account, well, I've got other people with me. Am I actually going to be killed by, depending on the size of the female, is she actually going to be able to kill me? And if we're all close enough, isn't it possible that I could spray her, that I could hit her with the baton, that I could taser her? And while that's happening, while she gets sprayed, someone else comes from the side and just tackles her? But the way training is, it's like if you can justify it, instead of instead of having to run through other scenarios and play things out quickly and be able to handle pressure and handle the stress and be able to work out, well, what's the best case scenario? It's, well, I can just justify it because they have a weapon that could possibly kill me, so I'll just shoot the weapon. At the same time, I think it's a little hard. That's just what I would have done when I was in the police, when I was in QPS. And I was in situations where I could have drawn my weapon and I could have justified it, and I'd be sitting here going, well, yeah, okay, I shot my gun at someone. I could have justified it. Everything would have been fine because they were going for a weapon or they had a weapon. No problem. But I ran through other scenarios in my mind and thought, well, I could actually do this and I might still have time if I have to, or I can just overpower that person, or I can do something else. I don't have to draw my weapon. I can handle this in another way. But you need to be able to think these things through quickly. I do think it's a little. This is more of an issue, I think, and I think this is what's happening in Australia with recruitment processes, recruiting people who can't handle the high pressure scenarios run through, and people who aren't trained properly treat people who are just, okay, drummed into them. A weapon that could kill, any kind of fear for your life, you can justify it to just pull your gun. This is the problem we have. But it's also easy for us to sit here and judge these people just by body cam footage like that. But I think a lot of this comes back to training and the type of people that are being allowed into the police forces all around Western worlds now. People who shouldn't really be in there, people who wouldn't, a decade ago wouldn't have passed psychometric evaluations, people who wouldn't have passed stress testing, they're now allowed in. And then we see these kinds of outcomes. Hey, this is all my opinion. I'm not trying to throw these guys under the bus. I'm saying there's a bigger picture here that we need to remember. My name's Jay Fallon. Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize. Gonna sail on the clouds and tears outside. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul.